welcome back. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. So basically, for those of you who don't already know, I stream on both Twitch and YouTube, and I'm currently working on TikTok. So as you can see here, we're just continuing on from where we left off last time, as I try to do some quick tips for you guys to show you guys just exactly how you can draw from reference and using different photos in order to guide you. So over here, I have some good reference photos that we can go ahead and look to see the different flows and arts for her dress in order to make it into the picture. This stream is going to be relatively short, so approximately 30 minutes, and then later today and possibly later next week, I'll go ahead and try to stream again just to show you guys a nice quick tip and a nice guide for how you can also use these photos to draw for reference. So what I'm going to do here right now is take our old sheet and minimize it here down to the bottom. We're going to keep every sketch and every guide that we have just so that everyone can kind of see it right here. And now, just so that it doesn't end up merging with all the pages, we'll go ahead and hide it. Perfect. Alright, so as you can see here, as I zoom in, before we get started on any sketch or any drawing, we're first going to go ahead and look at our reference photo. So anytime that you want to draw or just kind of peer into something, we always start first by dissecting it, because that's going to tell you overall what exactly it is that we're going to do when we end up drawing this picture. So as you can see, the girl's here, and I'll add another layer just so that you can see the whole dissection phase. It's just as I said before, we're first going to break down our picture into basic shapes. So as you can see here, the girl has a nice torso for her to use, which is a nice good rectangular shape. And then of course, her arms are going to be a nice oval shape to kind of help guide you through where else that she's going to draw. Perfect. We also have a nice oval shape right here. And then of course, here in the back for her feet. And then of course for her dress, we're going to go ahead and make sure that we can also break this down into different parts. So there's going to be a rectangular here, a triangle here, and of course one big blob and one big shape here, just to break down her dress. And of course for her face, a nice beautiful circle. Perfect. So if I hide the photo, this is basically what it looks like, just broken down into different shapes. So this can be used as a nice reference guide in order for you to create the image that you want it to be. The same thing for this character as well, just breaking her down into shapes to help simplify the overall process when you end up drawing her for your final finished draft. When you first start out drawing, I need you guys to also understand that any beginning artist or any steps in the beginning are always going to be a bit difficult, but that's okay. Because with art, throughout time, you learn different things like your own art style and also your own way of just basically learning different genres that you want to get into. I guess you can say, in a way, art is very fluid and not everything is certain or always made certain or sure of whenever you're drawing something. So as you can see here, we've broken our girls down into shapes.
This message is brought to you by Apple Card.
So that way you can go ahead and distinguish it from here.
Right away.
So now we're going to back up just a little bit just so we can also see our reference guide over here. And we're going to begin drawing them out. So this is our nice sketch layer. We're going to take it and we're going to put it to the side over here. Perfect. Nice key common breakdown. And now on a new layer, we're going to use that to help guide us with our drawings for our girls. So anytime that you guys draw, don't be scared to use a lot more fluid motion anytime that you feel like you want to just get the emphasis of the character. So of course when we use or draw their faces, not everything is certain or not everything works. Oops, sorry. Not everything is going to be certain. But remember, you're using this as a key drawing, as a key guide to help you create the characters that you want. Perfect, much better. So now, I'm going to go ahead and start drawing out our characters using our reference guide that we have here, and then also using the reference that we have here in order to get to every single detail. And then of course, just remembering the stuff that we had last time, where we're drawing our hair. Oh, I should probably do that first. So now I'm gonna go ahead and break down different key fixtures. So for example, our hair. Remember, we're gonna divide our head up into 2 sections. 1 and 2 in the front for her bangs, and then 3 and 4 in the back for the rest of her flowy hair. We can also do the same thing for her hips and her dress. So because this is a female, I'll go ahead and divide this up as well. 1 and 2 for her chest. And for her dress, we're also going to divide it up into sections. So we have the first section of the flowy area of her dress, the second section for the middle, 3 and 4 for that big flowy other section, and then 5, from the bottom part that's right here. Perfect. So now we can go ahead and get started with drawing the actual photo itself. And again, I also have the general image up here on a different monitor on my other screen, so I can also look at it for another reference. So as you guys are going to be sketching or just drawing, you're also going to be looking at this as your reference as we go ahead and draw the different sections and layers over here. This is just a way that I've kind of decided to develop my own different types of art style anytime that I'm drawing, just because overall it does make it a lot easier, especially when I'm trying to figure things out. Now when you're drawing hair, you also have to recognize the hair texture and just the different flows whenever you're drawing. So for her, because she has curly hair, I'm first going to start with an outline and just kind of over exaggerate the features just to make sure that we're able to catch every curl or at least the majority of it, when we end up drawing. Me personally, I do love drawing curly hair because it does flow a lot more, and it makes you have fun because you're a lot more looser in order to do things. You can also use the same thing for straight hair, but usually curly hair, you have to put more of an exaggeration on it. Yes. So as I draw my character's head shape, and I won't follow the head shape exactly, I'll just go ahead and use this as a reference guide to draw my own character. But as we draw the head shape and the rest of the body, we also have to make sure that we're not trying to make the character look too stiff. If you've already developed your own sort of art style, it'll be able to help a lot more whenever you're drawing your character. But say if this is your first time drawing, or if this is just beginner level drawing to you, developing your own art style hasn't quite come into play yet, but you can still use it, or you can use this as practice in order to draw it. Perfect. Now when I draw my characters, I usually still use the same sketch image or sketch drawing in order to get to the proper layout that I want, just because you are still adding more details to your characters. So you don't want to completely make it stiff, and you also want to do things that'll help make it stand out as well. So for example, this character is wearing a singlet. So usually what I try to do is just draw the body first before the clothes, but I also want to make sure that we're following the example to make it easier later on. You don't have to overcomplicate things. Making things simple in the very beginning is what's going to be most beneficial to you. Especially since later on you can over-exaggerate the different features once you finish the drawing. Perfect. So again, the goal is to not overcomplicate things and just symbolize your drawings into different parts, so that way it can become much easier for you later on. So for myself, anytime that I'm drawing, I always try to make sure that it's pretty much detailed and it doesn't distract from the main point. So now, once you first get the overall drawing in, you can go back and clean up and then start off for the rest of it. So in the beginning, when you're doing the overall inking process, sometimes it ends up being just like your sketch. And again, there's no need to worry about any of those things. As long as you get the overall drawing down, you can go ahead and fix it later, when you're making the finished results. So for example, the dress, as you can see, there's different layers and different folds to it. And anytime you're drawing something like a dress or hair, you have to be more loose. So right now the dress looks a lot like chicken scratch, which is usually how it is for me. And then in the beginning, it'll be like that for you as well when you start drawing. But once you start adding more details, you'll begin to see a more flowy art when you're drawing. So remember, anytime that you're drawing, you have to think about, especially when you're drawing things like a dress, there's going to end up being folds. Folds such as this. And then of course, just do a little bit cleanup for now, not completely. Just to get things in. There we go. And then of course the leg. And the ankles. I'm trying to make sure that I get it right. Perfect. Right, and now, oh, apologies for that. Okay, so for those of you who don't already know, the drawing software that I use is called Krita. Unfortunately, it does do this sometimes, and I've already filed a report about it. This is the latest software. Oh. This is the latest software, and unfortunately, as you see here, if you don't end up saving your work all throughout the process, it'll delete, just like how it just did right now. So I guess our first draft basically just got deleted completely. I'm gonna try to see on my computer if there was a saved version whatsoever, but if not, it's alright. We'll just go ahead and start it over. That just means that unfortunately that sketch or drawing just wasn't good enough. Perfect. So for Krita, if anyone has any interest in downloading Krita, it is a nice free software to use just in the beginning if you're like a beginning artist. But if you have any serious projects, or say for example, if you want to work on like real material, I don't recommend it just because of these glitches. It's very inconvenient, and sometimes it is just a bit hectic and it keeps messing up. But it's all good. We're gonna just try to continue on and redo the image. So I'm actually just gonna go ahead and start with the second image. And the good thing about this stream is that everything's saved regardless. So once this stream is finished, you guys can go back and look at it and just review it from there. But just for the sake of time and also for the sake of just moving on, we're going to start on the next reference image and kind of just carry on from there. So usually what I like to do is start with the hair. As you can see previously, we're going to go ahead and start with the outline of how we want our character to look. And then remember, anytime that we're drawing hair or any folds, we can try to have fun with it and be more loose. And of course later on we can fix it as we're drawing the rest of the sketch. The shape of the hair usually determines the shape of the head sometimes, but I do like to kind of have like a nice base head for myself. anytime that I'm drawing, just to make it easier. So because we have the hair here, we're going to go ahead and put the neckline there. And then remember, don't be afraid to kind of over-exaggerate the features. Anytime you're drawing, it's okay for things to be a little bit more detailed. If it helps carry your art together. If you have a basic overall knowledge of anatomy, it helps, but at times it's not really necessary. Lots of artists, they're able to really evolve past their art because they know certain types of anatomy. However, if you don't really know that much or that much information about anatomy, that's okay too. That's why using things like references is really helpful and support. It helps support your art anytime that you feel like you need that extra assistance. So we're gonna make sure that as we're drawing, we just have a nice flowing motion. And just recognize where certain folds are, so that way it can emphasize every feature as we're going into every page. There you go. See, very nice and pretty. So I'm looking at my reference image on my other monitor, but just to do a quick recap, as you can see here, the different folds that are in each dress, we're gonna try our hardest to capture it. But we'll go more into those intricate details once we add the shadows, the layers, the lining, and everything. Once we start going more into rendering a photo or rendering your image, that helps bring everything together, and it really does emphasize what each of the strokes mean. So we're going to go ahead and do this. And even though you can't see it yourself, there is still some strokes and wrinkles on her t-shirt. But we're gonna make sure we just simplify it for right now. So right now, I'm just drawing where the folds are. And then later, we're gonna add the shadows and the linings once we start going in. For the feet, we're gonna keep real simple. The same thing with the arms, the shoulders, and then of course the hands. Perfect. And just remember, as you're using Krita, we always save as we go. Just because, like earlier before, we don't want certain things to get deleted. So now, something that I know that most people struggle with, which is the hands. I am no different myself, but because this image is so small, just gonna simplify it like this. And make sure we get all this detail in like that. In another video, I'll go ahead and do another breakdown. We're gonna go ahead and learn hands, how to draw hands and feet together. So that way we can overall work on it together anytime that we're doing these quick sketches. So yes, when I first started learning how to draw in the very beginning, hands were basically my mortal enemies, and it still is, but some artists have been able to find nice little shortcuts that are still able to make their art overall dynamic and really beautiful. So again, if you too struggle with certain details like hands and feet, don't be discouraged. Trust me, it's everyone. As long as you remember and you recognize that at the end of the day, you're still trying to convey the image that you're trying to make, it'll come out pretty much unique. So this is the nice sketch here that we have so far of our character. Get distinguished. So now we're gonna go ahead and work on her hair. And it's as I said before, with hair, try your hardest to make it very flowy and just fun and creative. Once again, not everything has to be specifically detailed, but with the hair, we're just gonna make it stand out. So I'm gonna add more details on it that weren't there before. And of course, when you have hair, you also like to break it down into layers. There you go. Cute little shadow for her neck. There we go. And then a shadow for her other leg right here. Our before, and this is our after. Alright, perfect. And remember, anytime that you're working on a project or that you're working on a piece of art, just save as you go, because at the end of the day, just like how you see before, you never know what could happen. But yes, I hope this little quick tip guide was very helpful. What I'm going to try to do is stream again later today, just to kind of upload the rest of the parts. But I'll go ahead and work on this one off screen, and then in the next stream, we're going to go ahead and work on the other image photos that we have, and also work on certain things like rendering and just how to bring your art and make it more lively. This will be very helpful and keen anytime that you're learning different art styles, and very useful anytime that you feel like you want to create something, either a comic, pinup art, or anything. It's good just to learn different perspectives and basics on how to draw, so that way it can emphasize a lot anytime that you want to create your own works of art projects. So yeah, thank you guys so much. I'll go ahead and end the stream, and then of course this will be up whenever you guys are ready to view. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and give me a like, comment if you feel like subscribing. That's also very much appreciated. I'm going to start uploading more videos and streaming more, just so that way it can be a nice reference guide for you guys anytime that you're looking for cute little art projects. So yeah, alright, have a great day everybody.